Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Here's a headline from you today. Ripple v. SEC, $1 billion question about potential fine. And this headline actually happens to exist largely because of me. I put a tweet out which ultimately Fox Business journalist Charles Gasparino ended up retweeting. And basically what he's trying to find out is, given that there's a certain likelihood that Ripple's going to have to pay some sort of fine. We're still waiting for that to be sorted out. We haven't gotten any sort of remedies portion. There's going to be a trial also. But even so, it's good we already have the regulatory clarity for XRP specifically, because that's what mattered for us. I'm just saying there are other moving parts. There's other things in motion here. So Charles Gasparino basically trying to figure out, how is that going to be paid for, and how might that impact XRP markets if XRP has to be sold in order to cover this? And so I'm going to share with you some perspective on this, and this is not something we need to worry about. Also, I want to highlight a perspective from a sitting United States senator who applauded the decision in the SEC v. Ripple case, specifically finding that XRP itself is not a security. But I want to show you how this particular senator's speaking out of both sides of her mouth, unless her opinion has actually genuinely changed on something, but we need to keep our eye on her. Just as a broader crypto community, I think it's fair to say. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, look, I don't think that anybody in our community gives a damn if Ripple has to pay a fine. In fact, I've been saying for the longest damn time, there's a real potential for an outcome where Ripple loses on some sort of technicality, has to pay some sort of fine, and we still have clarity for XRP, and that would still be the win, because at the heart of the matter is the question of what the hell is XRP? Is it some sort of a security by the nature of it existing? Is it just a commodity? What is it? What is the damn thing? It's an asset, right? And so Charles Gasparino had been speculating that perhaps the reason that the price of XRP hadn't been going up any higher than it did, and the fact that it actually retraced, maybe it had something to do with fears about Ripple having to pay some sort of fine in the future as a result of the SEC v. Ripple case. Now, I just respectfully disagree with that. I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think any of us care. And I'll talk more about price in a separate video. I don't want to get into that here. But seeing some of those interactions back and forth with people from our community and Charles Gasparino, I just wanted to share my perspective on this. And so I tweeted out the following earlier today. So far, I haven't found a single XRP holder that cares if Ripple ends up paying a fine to the SEC. If you exist, please respond and make your unicorn status known. What matters to us XRP holders is that XRP has been declared a non-security. That's pretty much it. And folks, I couldn't more fervently believe that. So Ripple having to pay a fine, what material impact could that possibly have on you or me? Well, the answer is none. So I still, and I'm not exaggerating, I literally haven't found one person that cares if Ripple has to pay a fine. Now, our community is so big, literally millions of people. I do think there must be that person. I mean, there's a good chance at least one. But the point is, it's almost 0% of humans in our community. And so somebody responded to me and wrote, Charles Gasparino seems to care what Ripple assets will be used to pay any fine. And that's true. That's another thing that kind of prompted me to put this tweet out. He was kind of curious as to, okay, how is this going to be paid for? And that's why I was like, I just nothing against Charles. Like, I don't care. Okay. And so I then responded to him and I said, Garland House previously stated Ripple has $1 billion in the bank, so maybe it'd come from that. I personally care 0%. Now, that tweet is what was retweeted by Fox Business journalist Charles Gasparino. And he wrote, so does Ripple have $1 billion in cash laying around, or $1 billion in XRP that they will cash in to pay the fine, which also dilutes retail? Another question I have for management. And honestly, I think that's a fair enough question. I mean, it's, maybe Ripple will answer, maybe they won't. But it's a reasonable question. I'm not offended by Charles Gasparino asking that question. So I responded to him because I did a quick Google search. I knew that Brad Garland House had said that Ripple had at least $1 billion in the bank, literally on the balance sheet. So I did a quick Google search and actually found a video clip which happens to have been shared by my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie. And so I responded to Gasparino, shared that clip from Crypto Eddie where Brad Garland, it goes on for about a minute. I'm not going to play it. It's not necessary for this video. But he literally states that, Brad Garland states that, yes, Ripple at that point in time, and it wasn't long ago, Ripple had over $1 billion in cash on the balance sheet. And so I responded to Gasparino and I said, good question. Here's a recent video clip of Brad Garland saying Ripple has more than $1 billion in cash on their balance sheet. And then I wrote, Ripple's XRP sales are typically less than 0.5% of global volume. So there has never been any detectable movement of XRP price. Even if that were temporarily increased, I suspect the impact on global XRP price would be negligible and perhaps not detectable at all. And so think about this. Even if Ripple temporarily quadrupled the amount, the amount of XRP they're selling, in terms of volume, let's just say they quadrupled their volume in comparison to the rest of global XRP markets, I still don't know if even that would be enough because typically, again, like I said, XRP, their volume is typically less than 0.5%. So how is this going to be something that would be detectable anyway? And then even if it did have some sort of impact, it would be a blip on the radar and then it would go away because then Ripple would just stop doing that anyway. I think it's a big nothing. And attorney Bill Morgan, he did note that I forget the name of the company. Was it Medico? Am I getting that name right? I think it's the ones that do institutional custody, if my memory is behaving. I could be mistaken on that. You can fact check me. But he pointed out, and I think he said it was something like $250 million, and I couldn't remember what the figure was. So if that's the case, maybe they have less than $1 billion now. But consider this. This is so ridiculous, but during the pretrial phase of the SEC v. Ripple case, during the pretrial phase, the SEC pointed out that Ripple could sell XRP to pay for court expenses. Now, I always found that was ridiculous because, the whole thing was that what they were doing was illegal, and here the SEC is saying, hey, well, Ripple can go ahead and do this because Ripple at the time, if memory serves, they were kind of complaining about, it might have been like the length of the trial or the costs associated with the trial for some certain aspects of it, and so the SEC is like, oh, money's not a problem for Ripple; they can just sell XRP. But it was just offensive and absurd because they're arguing that's illegal, but they're saying, yeah, Ripple can just go do that. But so anyway, my point in bringing that up, though, is extending that logic. If the ultimate fine ends up being larger than the amount of money Ripple has, they could just sell more XRP to raise money. Judge Torres already ruled that programmatic XRP sales are illegal. So that is currently the law. Ripple will be fine. They can sell a ton of XRP if need be. I saw some toxic Bitcoin maxis. There was some attorney, and he's just making up nonsense, but he said, oh, the fine's probably going to be over $2 billion. I'm like, even the SEC wasn't going for that much. What was the number they put out? 1.3 billion? But just say it was. Make up your number. You can sell XRP over time if you're Ripple, and you're going to be fine. It's just completely absurd and ridiculous. The Bitcoin maxis out there. It's been interesting and entertaining seeing them lose their ever-loving minds because they were so unjustified in their confidence that XRP was going to be swatted down and then cease to exist. They can't stand it. They can't stop talking about it here. So we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, no, I'm not worried about this at all. Ripple's probably going to pay some sort of fine. We'll see what happens, and I'll actually talk more about this in a separate video because, there's a question of is there going to be an appeal on either side? Is there going to be a settlement actually and squashes all of this? So there's actually a lot more to say, but let me move on to the next portion of this here. There's this article from Crypto News. Crypto Queen Cynthia Loomis applauds XRP ruling. And so this is the senator that I was citing at the outset of the video. And this tweet in and of itself is positive. I would think we can all get behind this. This is from Senator Cynthia Loomis. She wrote, my statement in response to the Southern District of New York's ruling in Securities and Exchange Commission v. Ripple Labs, Inc. And this is the quote. I applaud the decision of the Southern District of New York finding that crypto assets traded in secondary markets may not be investment contracts. This is the position that Section 501 of the Loomis-Gillibrand Responsible Financial Innovation Act has taken from the beginning. So let's pause to note here. If that's true, fantastic, okay? But I'm going to tell you that I'll show you in a second after I finish this quote why we need to watch her. But then she also said, the decision confirms the need for Congress to deliver a clear regulatory structure for the crypto asset industry that provides the highest level of consumer protection. We need to pass Loomis-Gillibrand to uphold the Howey test as interpreted by the Southern District of New York. Okay, so I admit that sounds fantastic. If that's really how this is going to pan out, you got me on board in all likelihood, certainly with that aspect of what's in here. So, and again, oh, by the way, just in case anybody had missed this, it was very recently that this bill, which was originally touted, I guess it was summer of last year, I think, it was shelved, and then very recently, within the last several days, week, whatever it's been, it was trotted back out, and with some modifications. And so this bill, in theory, is supposed to protect just crypto in general. So think about that. Think about how fantastic that sounds on the surface. I think we'd all agree. And then take a look at this. This wasn't that long ago. Here's a headline from CoinDesk. U.S. Senator Cynthia Loomis. Ether is now a security. My bill might have stopped FTX. And so there's just two quotes that I want to point out here from Senator Cynthia Loomis. And again, this is December. This hasn't been that long. She said, quote, "It's starting to look more like Bitcoin is the only thing that would qualify as a commodity." End quote. Well, that's kind of alarming. How did you go from December to now, less than a year, just a little over half a year? How'd you go from that position, looks like just Bitcoin's fine, to, oh yeah, we're just going to protect everything? Is it true even? If she really changed her mind that quickly, good on her. I'm skeptical. I mean, in fact, look at this. Here's another quote from her, talking about Ether. "It's a security because of the way it moved from proof of work to proof of stake," end quote. And then she said, quote, "Inability to unstake tokens right now makes it susceptible to being considered a security," end quote. That's not in line with what you'd said just literally 2 days ago. So, what? What the what? I don't know about that, folks. I'm just saying, let's just keep our eye on this. If it actually is as touted, then okay, super duper. Maybe it's going to be fantastic here, because we do need some damn clarity. Not that I'm convinced this thing's going to get through. In fact, I don't think it's very likely with the current state of political affairs, let's say. But how do you go from that? Ether's a security. It looks like only Bitcoin's not. To yeah, we want to uphold Judge Torres's decision. Scratching my head a little bit. What do you guys think? I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.